Hermes lovers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tania and this video is actually about me. Get to know me. I usually talk about brands, I talk about Hermes, handbags, luxury jewelry, you name it, but I very rarely talk about myself. If you follow me on Instagram and on my Instagram stories, I kind of reveal my personality there a little bit more. This video is my story, or at least what I feel comfortable sharing. And I will be addressing some of the most popular controversial questions. Stay tuned till the end. So I guess the most popular question is about money. How do I make money? Who pays for all of my Hermes? And yeah, how can I afford it? So I will be addressing this question first. I pay for my own Hermes. My husband did gift me 2 bags out of 11, but the rest I bought myself. I have money because I work. And let's talk a little bit about my career journey. If you have already watched some of my videos about my career journey, feel free to skip. But if you're new around here, let's start from the beginning. I went to college in Boston. I went to Northeastern University. I was studying international relations, political science, and business administration. Somehow I ended up graduating with also a concentration in the Middle East. I don't know how that happened, but I guess the classes that I took contributed to that concentration. And if you are familiar with Northeastern University, we do have to have 1 year of work experience to graduate. We call them co-op, which is essentially an internship. My first internship was with a political firm. I absolutely hated it. I didn't like it at all. I immediately understood that the political world just was not for me. This is why I got a minor in business administration. My second internship was a much better experience for me. It was at a very big investment firm in Boston, very reputable, very well known. I actually really liked it. I really liked the company. I didn't love the department that I was working at. So when I graduated, I ended up applying there for like a very prestigious position. It was for recent college graduates. I ended up getting the job. I was working in a client relationship role at that firm. I was very miserable. I did not like it. I felt so lost. At that time, I was making so much money. Like the job paid very well. I actually didn't know anyone who graduated and got a job that was as high paying as the job that I got. So I felt extremely lucky and the company was treating me so well. You know, like the benefits were amazing, but I guess my soul wasn't in it. It got so bad that I would wake up and I would cry. I didn't want to go to work. I also started getting health problems. My eyes would constantly puff up and people thought that I had like red eye. So I remember I was constantly calling out of work because people thought I had an infection. But in reality, I think my body was just reacting to it because ever since I quit, I never really had that issue again in my life. So I don't know what happened there, but this job was just not a good fit for me. So I quit. Then I became an entrepreneur. So I started my first few projects, and then one of the projects was an epic fail. It was such an epic fail that I don't know how I came back from it, to be honest. I lost a lot of money and confidence. Like my confidence was completely shattered. I just didn't trust myself anymore. For years after, I kept going in my head, how the hell did it happen? Just like trying to pinpoint the moment that it all went so wrong so fast. I was only 22 at the time that I started my first business. I do give myself, and now looking back at it, I just think that I didn't know better. I didn't have life experience and I wasn't equipped to deal with what I had in front of me. Only now, almost 10 years later, am I able to look at this experience with compassion towards myself because I just kept beating myself up for it. So yeah, that was like an epic fail. Even now that I'm talking about it, like my voice is just like not okay. It's still very, very hard. Maybe one day I'll tell the full story, but basically it was an epic fail. So my confidence was shattered. I decided to move from Boston to Miami. I decided to get a job. It was my first official sales job because obviously when, you know, you're an entrepreneur, you kind of like have to do sales. But it was my first official job at sales. I think I was there for maybe like 7 or 8 months. I loved sales, but the company that I was working for, the culture was just like super toxic. I was so overworked. I was not allowed like pretty much any days off. Like for any day off, I had to like really fight. And I remember like at the end of the month, I would be working like from 8 in the morning until midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Like it was crazy. Like every end of the month I would be just like working so much that at the beginning of the next month I would be just like dead. So I knew that I had to like get out of it. I quit my job, then I started another business. That business did a little bit better, and in the meanwhile, by the way that I had my job, like I was still doing like some other side businesses. So I guess I always had this entrepreneurial spirit. Also with these other businesses, there were like some were going well, some were not going so well, and then I decided to like just pivot a little bit. And after I quit my first sales job, I was again in sales, but I was working for myself, and that was kind of working out for me for a while. I think I did it for about a year, but that business required me being in Miami full time. At that moment, I was starting to travel, so it didn't work for me anymore. I quit my job. Here's a plot twist. I was actually a housewife for, I want to say, a year and a half. Yeah, I was a housewife for a year and a half. I was not working. I was studying during that time, but I did not have like an income or something like that. It actually didn't work for me. I really like to have independence, and I guess feel like I'm doing something more with my life. I don't know if that makes any sense. Here's no judgment to housewives or stay-at-home moms or I don't know, stay-at-home girlfriends, like no judgment at all. It was just not something for me. Maybe one day I'll give it another try, but at that point of my life, it wasn't working for me. So then I went to get another job. That was actually a fun job that I will tell you a little bit more. My husband just bought a house. It was very big house. It's the house where I live at the moment, and we needed to furnish it. So what I did, I went to work part-time at Restoration Hardware, which is a furniture brand in the US, for the employee discount. And I can comfortably say that I saved maybe like around $250,000-300,000 just on furniture alone. Like I wasn't making much money, but the savings because of my employee discount, because my husband has such a big house, they were actually really worth it. So yeah, it was a good idea on my part. I felt like I was doing something, but then I was also really helping to save a lot of money, until one of my friends with whom I had actually worked before told me that her company was hiring. She was also doing sales at a tech firm. She raved about the company so much that I went to interview there and I ended up getting the job. And since then, almost 2 years, I have been at this company, and I really like my job now. The company culture is amazing. It is zero toxicity. It just works for me. I work from home. I don't have to spend any time commuting. I can be with my dogs. I am still in sales, but I really like working in tech just because the culture aligns more with who I am. And I feel like I'm in a very good place right now at my job. In sales, it's very easy to see who is doing good and who is not, and last year I was doing very well, and I don't think I will want a change, at least for the moment. I am very comfortable and happy with where I am now. Because I was working from home and I was not spending any time on commute, I actually had time, safety and security to pursue my other entrepreneurial spirits and start some other few projects that I have been working on, and I found that this combination really helps. Last year though, I was still working a lot because I was working a lot at my full-time job, but then I was also starting businesses. I ended up working most weekends, did not have a day off. I worked most nights. Like I remember last year, and actually well into this year, I worked from 7 a.m. until like 11 p.m. every single day. I would take some breaks to eat food, but that would be it. So yeah, like I was working so much, but I was in a very comfortable position because I had the safety and security security of a full-time job, which allowed me to pour like some of that income into my side businesses. It allowed me to actually grow my side businesses. Yeah, I found that combination very helpful. So this is my career journey, and this is how I'm able to afford everything that you see here, and a little bit about my life in terms of the professional journey. I don't know why this topic interests you so much, but apparently it does. Now, I will also address a few questions about my husband. I get so many questions about my husband and why he's not on my social media channels, why he doesn't appear, what he does for a living, and all of those things. So I'm going to address it now. When I was starting social media, I wanted to find like-minded people, you know, people who appreciate fine quality things. And I was going through a very hard period of my life. So I guess I just wanted like a creative outlet and to find my own people. So I did. But when I was making that decision, my husband told me that he does not want to be a part of it, that he doesn't feel comfortable being on social media. He also has a say in like what kind of content I do, because like he's not comfortable with me sharing like too much about my life that concerns him. If he ever is comfortable, of course I am willing to share things about him and him, but at the moment he does not feel comfortable. So that's why I don't post any pictures or I don't talk about him at all. Now, I hope that I addressed these two burning questions that I get like seriously every single week in my Instagram, and half of the questions that you submit every Wednesday when I do my weekly Q&A are about what I do for a living, how do I make my money, how can I afford all the shopping, and questions about my husband. Now, I would love to do another video where I talk about my journey with brands, because I feel like that would be actually relevant to my channel. I would like you to know how far I've come and all the mistakes that I've made with brands and luxury in the past that led me to where I am today, because that journey I actually think that most of you will find very useful. Anyways, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Again, my Instagram stories are fire, and subscribe to my channel. With love.